Some nights matches just don't want to start. Come and find a quiet center in the crowded life we lead. Find the room for hope to enter. Find a frame where we are freed. Clear the chaos and the clutter. Lift our eyes that we might see all the things that really matter. Be at peace and simply be. Dear friends, wherever you are, whenever it is you're watching this, however you are doing, may grace and peace be with you. We gather tonight to come and find a quiet center, to listen, to prayerfully reflect, to pay attention to the day that we've had, or maybe to look back over the past week, and to bring to our awareness, to open our awareness to the truth that spirit, that the divine, that grace is with us. Sometimes this feels like warmth, like pleasantness, like pleasure. And sometimes the divine is with us, that grace is present to us through challenge, through troubling things that we see or that we hear. A practice like this is about learning to pay attention, learning to listen, and learning to, amidst the tumult of every day, to practice an awareness, to pay attention to how God is always with us. We are not alone. I hope wherever you are, you're in a comfortable place. I've got my tea, I've got my candle burning. I think spiritual practice is about cultivating, about being attentive, about being intentional, so that things that we wish could be more automatic become more available to us in other moments. We center ourselves in spiritual practice so that we have a center from which to work in other moments. We cultivate compassion, we cultivate stillness, we cultivate soothing the body, so that in the midst of very unsettled and uncentered situations, we might find ourselves living out of that centered space that we have cultivated in moments like this. I want to invite us, as we are comfortable, to find a settled place to sit. I like to lean back into feeling my body weighted down upon my sits bones. I want to invite us to take a few moments of intentional breath, breathing deep into the abdomen, making space within our torso. I invite you to continue, as you are comfortable, to attend to your breath and to return to that rhythm of slow breath in and out, breathing in through the nostrils, deep down into the abdomen, and fully exhaling out. Over these past many weeks on Wednesday evenings, we have gathered around a practice called the daily examen, or the prayer of examen. It's a practice rooted in Ignatian or Jesuit spirituality, a philosophy that believes that God, that grace, is present to us in all moments. It's also a philosophy that believes that we can become attentive to the presence of God, to the presence of grace. That one of the ways we do that is by reflecting on our day. So I'm going to invite us in a time of guided reflection. Perhaps you will reflect more on just these past 24 hours. Maybe you'll reflect back over the week or the past couple days. As we reflect, we simply allow moments from our life to come to the front of mind, trusting that something can be learned by paying attention. Let us return to our breath as we prepare to move into this time of reflection. Like a rock that has been thrown to the center of a pond, comes to rest at the bottom. Let us too find ourselves settling in to this moment, settling into the reality of our body, settling into this moment of rest at the end of the day. Let's take a moment to bring to our awareness how we are feeling right now, both emotionally and bodily. What sensations are we carrying with us? Stress in the back of the neck, feeling of fullness or ease perhaps, tightness in the chest or abdomen, perhaps a feeling of spaciousness in the body. Let us come to an awareness of how we're feeling. Maybe we would offer some words that describe how our emotions are doing. Maybe we're feeling ease, anxiety, openness, tension. Invite us to name these things without judgment. To pause. Maybe we've not had a chance to yet today. Simply ask, how am I doing? Bodily, mentally, emotionally. Bringing this awareness forward with us. Let us open ourselves to insight, believing that in thinking back over our day that our mind, our inner teacher, the Christ within, the inner guide, the hidden wholeness, the quiet center, brings forth to our awareness that which can guide us. Let us open ourselves to insight, open ourselves to illumination, open ourselves to light. Let us think back over this day, or the past couple days. What comes to mind? What story have we been telling ourselves about the way we've been living, the way our life is going for these past couple days? What moments of grace are we feeling? Are there moments of connection? Are there moments of fulfillment? Are there moments in which we feel like that which we have to offer and that which the world calls of us have come into alignment, and we are able to deeply offer, enjoy that which we carry? Are we feeling moments in which the world simply received and gave onto who we were that which we needed? Perhaps it came through the acts or the words of another. Perhaps it came through the feeling of nature, of creation. Perhaps we feel held as one thread in the web of all things. Perhaps we feel out of step. Perhaps we feel moments of which we would describe that which we longed to bring into the world was just not possible. That the connections we grasped for were not there. That which we held out our hands seeking was not forthcoming from others in our lives or from circumstances. I wonder if a couple moments are starting to feel particularly significant to you. Invite us to be mindful of those, to take note perhaps. If you're a writer, maybe to jot these things down. This is a practice that could be done on your own. It could be done, as the name suggests, daily. Perhaps in so doing, we begin to notice patterns of how we interact with the world, how the world comes to us, how we come into the world. Perhaps both the joys and the challenges, what Ignatius of Loyola calls the consolations and the desolations. Perhaps these speak of vocation, of calling, of a call from others of the world to bring forth from ourselves. I wonder where in our body we are experiencing the moments that are standing out to us. I wonder if we can name that, reflect upon it. I wonder what kind of emotions we would name for some of these things we've thought about. I wonder if there are ways to speak of these things. Invite us to simply name them, not to analyze, not to judge, but to name and be aware. I wonder if there's a moment or a past day that seems most significant. Like it is that to which we are being invited to pay attention to. Like there is something within calling us to pay attention, to hold that, and to wonder, what is this moment showing me about my needs, my capacity, my gifts to offer into the world? Maybe something beyond what I've mentioned. Come and find a quiet center in the crowded life we lead. Find the room for hope to enter. Find a frame where we are freed. Clear the chaos and the clutter. Lift our eyes so we might see all the things that really matter. Be at peace and simply be. As we seek to take forth that which we have thought about, that which has come to our mind, that which we have felt within ourselves, as we seek to bring these things forward from these moments into the rest of our days. I want to invite us to take a turn. And if there's something we would like to lift up, particularly in prayer, to do so. If you have something you'd like mentioned, that you'd like others who are watching this with you now to hold together, I invite you to write it in the comments. On Sunday, we shared prayers for Dorothy, still recovering in hospital after surgery. On Sunday, we shared prayers for Gert, who turned 100 years old on Friday. On Sunday, we shared prayers for those within our community, both of Knox-Metropolitan United Church and beyond, who are struggling, whether financially, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. We shared prayers for those who grieve. We shared prayers for those who found themselves uncertain about the right next step for them. For all these things, and for the things that each of us carry within, things we speak aloud, the things that we hold in our hearts and in our minds. Prayers for Courtney and others. Let us rejoice that we carry these in community, albeit a community dispersed from one another, yet together. As we close tonight, having held these things, having looked back over our day, I want to thank people for joining, and for joining over these past several weeks. Starting next week, I'm on holidays for the month of July, or leave and holidays, and we'll be taking a break from these times of midweek reflection. We want to thank people for engaging with these. Come August, we will begin, if there is interest, engaging through this time again together. We will post, though, on our Facebook site guides for doing the prayer of Examen. We'd love to know if that is a fruitful practice for you, to look back with prayer and reflection. Perhaps you've taken this form of prayer and turned it into something of your own. It would be lovely to hear about that. As we close, let us share in the words of a new creed. We are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God, who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to live with respect in creation, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus, crucified and risen, our judge and our hope, in life, in death, and life beyond death. God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. Once again, this Sunday we gather at 9:30 for Knox-Met Kids at Home live on Facebook. And then our 10:30 traditional service from the Knox-Met Sanctuary. There's a time of coffee and conversation tomorrow at 1 p.m. over Zoom. We invite anyone who's interested to let us know, and we'll get you the link for that. As you go forth from here into the rest of sleep and the dawn of the new day, or into whatever responsibilities still call to you for this evening, may grace and peace go with you. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Though we are not together, yet still we are not alone. Thanks be to God.